So here we are. It is April 19th, 2023. This will be the last chapter for full fee agent, full service agent, full fee agent, because chapter 8 puts it all together. So have either of you had the nerve yet to do the whole, I'm a full fee, full service agent, the whole little speech there on page 148?
That would be a no.
No.
I have, but I didn't do the accusation audit going into it. I just went right into it. I didn't approach it gently. Just said, this may be a non-starter for you.
And what happened?
Sometimes it's been a non-starter. Other times it's like not an issue.
Okay. What do you think might happen if there was an accusation audit on the front end? So it's more framed in.
I think that it might be a gentler reception, and if it's a gentler reception and somebody hadn't decided favorite or fool, even in their subconscious yet, it might be received better.
Yeah, I think so. I think this, if you go back over the book and you look at it, every part just builds on the next part, builds on the next part. And I think the whole thing is setting it up so you can get to that, get to that point. If you haven't seen it yet, I know, Todd, you've seen it because I think you sent me the link for the interview that's on the website, the full or the favorite, with
Regina.
With Regina, yeah. Laura, have you seen that yet?
I did watch it, yes.
Okay, yeah, because she just lays it out. I mean, talk about an advocate for this system. She's in the book, and there she is, real live in person. So one more time, I'm just gonna, for our sake and for anybody who's going to watch this is something that is so different from everything we've ever learned. To try to dive into it all at once and expect that you're going to be able to go right to that whole speech that's on page 148 probably isn't going to happen. Or if it does happen, it's going to be really, really choppy. So take little parts of it, little bits of it, get comfortable with it, build on that.
I guess I struggle, I read that speech, and if somebody gave me that speech, I would send them back out the door.
Okay, then they wouldn't be the person to work with you.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to feel like I would get to a point where I would give that speech when I'm not willing to receive that speech.
Okay.
And why would it make you go head for the door?
I mean, because I feel like they're blunt and they're basically telling me they're not going to work for me. They're telling me these are my terms and I don't really care what your terms are. These are my terms if you want to do business with me. And in my way of thinking, there's plenty of other people that I can do business with that are not they don't have the ego that you have, and I don't need your ego.
So you're perceiving it as ego.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
They don't really need my business. They're doing me a favor by working me into their schedule.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can see how it would be perceived that way.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, this isn't something that if it's something that a person just changes gears on, like from the first contact, they're not like that, and then they walk in, they hit you with this, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if the posture and the position of the agent is one of I deal with people who are going to pay me my full fee,
Yeah.
and I'm a professional, and I'm not here to get you to like me. This isn't a likability contest.
Yeah.
This is let me do what I need to do so that you feel good, so that you feel comfortable and you feel safe. Then it makes more sense. The other part of it too, Laura, is anything that you hear when you read something that's a script.
Yeah.
It's keep in mind think of a script like a recipe. Todd, I think you've heard me say this before. All right, because it's a recipe. All right, Laura, have I gone through this with you? Because I think this will help. Mark.
No, you haven't. No.
Okay. All right. Let me give you the example. Let's say that you and I were going to make beef stew.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be unreasonable to guess that after we both made beef stew and we tasted it, they would taste different?
No, they would.
Yeah, they would. Okay. But at the same time, the basic ingredients, we're going to use beef stock. I think, right?
Yeah.
We'll use beef.
Right.
Potatoes.
Yeah.
Onions.
Yeah.
But we're going to season it differently.
Yeah.
So the end result is going to taste different.
Mhm.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
if you and I made beef stew, but I used fish stock and salmon and shrimp and oysters,
Yeah, that's seafood chowder now.
that's seafood chowder
Yeah.
or chowder,
Yeah.
since Todd was
Chowder.
just in Boston. Okay. So the basic concept is this: when you read a script, think of it as the basic recipe, but
Yeah.
season it to taste.
Well, and honestly, I didn't have a problem with the commission piece. I think where I got totally shut off is when she's like, you won't need to speak to me after 6 p.m. I was like, oh, really?
No, she said my phone goes off. It's
Yeah.
and here's why. What There's always going to be an exception to the rule. I just talked to somebody who's kind of using this stuff and they turn their phone off, but they were negotiating a deal on a Sunday.
Yeah.
There's always the exception.
Yeah.
The flip side of this is if you don't teach people how to treat you, you
Yeah.
wind up being subservient to them and they'll
Right.
call you at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night expecting a response.
Right.
But
And I
where's
get
your-
that, but
Right.
I mean, my threshold is not 6 p.m. Like,
So change the
Right.
threshold.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the seasoning.
That's
Yeah.
the seasoning.
Well, if
I've
somebody
used,
said that to me,
I haven't used the 6 p.m. thing because that's not the way. I mean, mine is really 8 p.m.
Yeah, there you go.
But I have used and successfully used. You will never need me and not get me, but you will never need me at 10 p.m. So just know I will get back to you the next morning, and that works every time.
yeah, and I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's the seasoning.
Yeah.
I'm going to use a little more celery. You're not going to use celery. That's all that is.
Okay.
Okay. The thing I think that's really important about this though is the mindset going in,
Hmm.
of I am a full fee, full service agent and I deserve the amount of money that I'm going to be paid on this
Hmm.
because, and they're going to feel comfortable. They're going to feel understood. And when you set boundaries like this, it's really beneficial because it puts you in a position of strength. I learned a thing a long time. I remember way back in the day, with my lovely ex-wife, we were out to buy a car, and for whatever reason, I used to go out and just play with car salespeople for fun, never ever intending to buy. This was back when I was, I didn't have the integrity level. Maybe I was young and stupid. All right. But the philosophy I learned about negotiation was there's no such thing as a deal so good you can't walk away from it today. And that's kind of what this is saying. I'm only going to pay you 4%. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you can work with somebody else.
Right.
What I think is important, and they led with this, and I think the first or second page of the chapter is that at 6%, we are a bargain, especially if we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because in other industries, you get 10% just as basically a finder fee, and then not having to do any work.
Mhm.
And so that's the way I come into it is we are a bargain. I am a bargain at 6%. And if you're not willing to pay my fee, you're also probably going to be a problematic, stress causing client for me that I probably won't get referral and repeat business from because I'm not the favorite. They won't treat me as a trusted guide or advisor. And because of that, I'm entering into a relationship that I don't need to, that's going to cause drama when I could work with people that see my value.
It's the Pareto principle again. 20% of your clients bring you 80% of your headaches. It's probably more like 595, And there's an interesting thing that happens too when you create boundaries and you make a decision about your business, is that things tend to fall in place. But before they fall in place, you will be tested. I'm not quite sure why it happens. I'll give you a personal experience. You guys know that when I first moved to Phoenix, Scottsdale, I came out here to be a massage therapist. And then I discovered NLP and hypnotherapy, and I made a decision that on this particular Monday, that was it. I was not taking any more massage clients. I was totally flipping the business and focusing exclusively on NLP and working with the head instead of massage, which was a tough decision because a massage client, once I got them, they'd be in every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. There was repeat. That was a client. I mean, they were there all over and over, and the thing just built. So on the Monday that I made this decision, that morning, I had 2 people call me that were referrals for massage clients. 2 of them. And I thought about it and I said, nope, this is the test. And I referred them out. And it stung at that moment because I did the math in my head, how much money I was giving up here over the next, several months. But it's like, no, my decision was, it ended at Sunday night at midnight. And they called me Monday morning. And as a result, I built a hell of a business doing NLP work. So you will be tested. I'm not quite, call it universe, call it whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
but you will be tested. Todd, you're either hitting bumps or you're nodding your head. I can't tell.
I'm doing both, and they had a sentence similar to this in the book. It was almost like anything worthwhile is on the other side of fear.
Yeah. And that's what it is, As I was talking to Beth earlier. I think she's out on a listing appointment. She's going to try to make it also in her car today. But she came up with that. She goes, what's the fear? What's the fear? Am I going to die? No. Okay. Worst thing that happens is we don't get a deal. So it's a little tougher in commission sales to say no to something when you need the money. And then the thing I'm reminded of, I have a client who's in red shirt right now to be a performance coach. And I reminded him that there's 2 things that Gary has written that I really, really like that just strike a chord with me. One of them is people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and overestimate what they can do in 5. Overestimate what we can do
I
in
think
1.
Isn't it it's the reverse of that? They overestimate what they can do in.
Did I say it backwards? Yeah, we
Yeah, you said it
overestimate what we can do in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 5.
Yeah.
Okay. And the second one, which I thought was really important, is a career is not made or lost by one deal or 1 week or 1 month or 1 year. It's a career. So you play with integrity, play for the long game. So habits that you create now, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, are really going to be paying off. It could be a little bit of pain, a little painful at the beginning. And with integrity, you got nothing to lose. So, and I don't want to get on a soapbox here. I want to bring it back to the book. The other part of this too, Laura, to answer the commission question, there's a beautiful little description here on page 147. I even marked it, where the seller says, "Why should I pay you more?" And I thought it was just. And keep in mind, when somebody writes a book, they're going to say, "Here's exactly what the conversation was."
Yeah.
No, this is how I sort of remember it, and I'm going to edit it so it really reads well for the book.
Right.
Right? So, yeah. Guilty too. I did it in my book. So keep in mind, get the context of it. The context of it is, why should I pay you more? The agent said it's probably confusing that different agents charge different fees. So takes it away from the numbers and then guides it right into a feeling, and takes the posture basically of saying, here's some advice. Work with the person who's going to represent you the best. Work with the person who's going to make you feel comfortable. And he basically says, whether that's me or somebody else. So stepped away from it, took the emotion out of it, took the ego out of it, focused on the process, let the chips fall where they will. It takes courage to do that.
Yeah. No, it does. Definitely.
So who do you want to work with? An agent or a person that's representing themselves as courageous, or somebody who's desperate?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, no. I didn't have a problem with the commission piece. I just like the tone of it is where I had an issue.
Beef
Maybe
stew,
I need to be more blunt though.
beef stew.
Yeah.
That's, I had the same conversation when I was teaching people hypnotherapy.
Mhm.
This is fun. Right? You see this book?
Yes.
This is a book of scripts for hypnotherapists. It's a book of scripts. This
Mhm.
thing, when I bought it 20 years ago, was probably $130, $140. I mean, suggestions for raising self-esteem, the ugly duckling metaphor, reframing suggestions, hypnosis for phobia, vascular control, clotting and normal healing, dental hypnosis, suggestions for asthma, childbirth. You name it, there's a script in here. So when I was teaching hypnotherapy, I had a class and I said, how many of you have bought a book of scripts? And all their hands went up. I did. How many of you spent more than $100 on scripts? Oh, I did. Okay. You're not going to like me for saying this, but scripts don't work. So think about it, because this is the same as Laura, this is the same as this. Okay.
Mhm.
The script in here was written for a different patient at a different time with different life experiences by a therapist with different training at a different time, at a different place, in a different situation. You're not going to put somebody into trance, open up the page 187, read it, and expect results. It doesn't work that way. So you get the scripts, you read, you get a book like this, and you can see mine is well used, right?
Right.
Look at all the little marks in there. You get a book like this to get the context, to get the feel for how the conversation should go. Okay, get the context of, you're probably not going to like what I'm going to tell you. This might even be a deal breaker. What I'm about to say, you might even decide that you don't want to work with me. And now they're set up. Well, how bad can this be?
Yeah.
Okay? I love the part where it says, I got 10 reasons why you might not want to work with me. 10? Well, actually, there's only 4.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not, I could pull that off. I would have fun with that.
I could not pull that off.
So you don't do it that way.
Yeah.
Right. So context, set it up, and then here it is. I'm a full fee, full service agent. I charge 6%, right on through.
Mhm.
But unless it's you, it won't work.
Yeah.
This is context. You don't read it to the client and expect results.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Personal opinion.
No, I like the personal opinion there because I've always felt that way about all the scripts.
Yeah.
Or I guess we call them conversations now, but
Yeah, we can't call them scripts anymore.
yes.
It's just being recorded. I'm gonna have to go back and white that part out. Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, if you think about it logically, it makes sense. This was, and let me give a great example, right? You're in Midland, Texas.
Yes.
Okay. If I take, and I bet you know agents down there that are kind of like cowboys.
Yes.
The good old boy agent. I spent a year in Dallas, Texas. I made it through an entire year, never bought a big belt buckle or cowboy boots.
Right.
Okay. And I never went boot scooting.
No.
No, never went boot scooting. Right. But let's take that cowboy Midland, Texas agent
Mhm.
and transport him up to Nassau County, Long Island.
It would be like a caricature.
They would eat him alive.
Yeah.
Take the guy from Long Island with his scripts and put him into Midland, Texas. They'll
Nobody trusts
shoot
him.
him and bury him out in the prairie somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Cement
Yes.
shoes.
What?
Cement shoes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what'll happen in Long Island. Texas, they'll just shoot you. Bury out in the cow pasture somewhere. So
Mhm.
context, right? Get the idea. What is it that this whole thing is trying to accomplish? That's actually quite what is if you had to sum up the full fee agent philosophy, what is it that we're trying to accomplish?
Work with elves.
I
Yeah, what else?
mean, for us to not discount our commission and to make the seller feel good about negotiations, to feel like they
Yeah.
won in the negotiation.
Yeah, there it is. It's about getting them to feel understood,
Mhm.
because that builds the trust.
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, at least, if you boil it all down, it's that. If they feel like they're understood, you have the trust. If you have the trust, everything else is easier. You're the favorite.
Yeah.
And that's why, setting up that little full fee speech ahead of time I think helps establish it.
Mhm.
It preps them. Something as simple as, I've got some bad news,
Mhm.
and they're ready,
Yeah.
and addressing it up front as opposed to having them say, why didn't you tell me about this last week? It's real hard to rebound from that.
Yeah. I would say and maybe, I don't know, you might have to go edit this part of my conversation out also before you go posting this on social media. But the part where she's like, I keep 3.5% and I pay the other agent 2.5%, that would not fly in my market. I've had that done to me one time on the buyer side, and I still am angry at that other agent for doing that to me. I would still sabotage him over $1,500.
How would you know? I mean, how do you know? Because
At the closing, I mean, I had no idea until I got to the closing table and I saw the closing statement and I saw what he made versus what I made.
so we don't have that here. We don't have a closing table. And so, and when I have a listing on my side, the direction to escrow is give them their commission instruction and give us our commission instruction, not together.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see it on the closing statement. And
Yeah,
we
we-
don't close at the same time, but I see both sides on the closing statement.
Yeah, I never get the master. I only see my side's closing, the settlement statement.
No, I mean, so that's how I knew. I was perfectly content with the transaction until I was sitting at the closing table. And I was like, really?
I think I don't really have a problem with the listing agent keeping more, because the listing agent has the marketing expense.
A lot more expense.
But the buyer's agent is who spends forever in a car driving them around in the evenings at dinner time. I mean, I feel like I work harder as a buyer's agent than I do as the listing agent.
You do, but is that should that be that particular seller's cost?
I don't think that the listing agent should make more than I do. I mean, I don't.
Okay.
Would you feel comfortable in saying, I charge 6%, I keep 3%, and I pay the buyer's agent?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
There you go.
And if I kept 3.5, I mean, I would have a whole slew of agents in this town that were enraged with me. I'm enraged at the guy that did it to me one time.
Okay, so 3 and 3.
Yeah.
3 and 3. Seasoning. You like a little more pepper, I like a little more salt. That's all that is. It's seasoning.
Yeah.
Again, that's the thing I think sometimes people get hung up on with a script.
Yeah.
So I don't like that word. Change it.
Yeah.
Yep. Remind me not to piss you off. Man.
Sorry.
Yeah, she's in Texas, probably got guns too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually don't, but I know that you do. So
Yeah. All right, so I'm feeling safer now. All right.
yes.
All right. It's good stuff. All right. One of the other. All right, so I asked big picture, what do you think the purpose is, the objective of the whole, if we had to boil it down? Let's talk a little bit about the difference between facts and logic and emotion, and how, whether they line up or whether they bump against each other. Because I think that's a key element in here. I'm just tossing that out. What's your thoughts?
I think that what we learned from this is that all decisions are based on emotion. And then facts, logic, and reason, or what is the rationale for that decision.
Mhm. People want to avoid cognitive dissonance. They'll make an emotional decision, back it with logic. Yeah. Going back into the archives, I don't even know if I could find this now, but I remember reading an article, well-sourced article, it was a reputable source about it was an interview, I think, with somebody that was a top exec in Walmart. And so Walmart was brilliant in finding locations. I mean, the demographic research that they would do to locate a store and build a store was just brilliant. That's why so many of them were so successful. So they were interviewing this person who was responsible for deciding on where to put the stores. And again, I'm probably going to butcher it a little bit, but you'll get the context. They got to a city and they had two or three different locations. And the person who was ultimately responsible picked one. And they were asked, how did you decide on that one, all things being equal? The answer, it felt right. Lots of data, lots of numbers, this one feels right. Based on what? Experience.
Yeah.
Gut.
Based on gut. Is that logic or emotion?
I think
It's
if you've been doing it for a long time, maybe there's just logic in there that you're not capable of articulating.
Yeah, but the answer was, it feels right. That was the key. That was the key point of the whole interview. It felt right. Felt. Not it made the most sense. It was the most logical. The demographics pointed to this one at the 1.3% advantage over the other. The answer was, it felt right. So I think one of the big things out of the book is you can't overcome emotion with logic.
Yeah.
There has to be, in the selling situation in real estate, there's got to be logic, right? How much you're going to make, how are we going to, all that stuff. But the bottom line is, if they don't feel understood, if they don't feel safe with you, you're probably going to work with somebody else.
Right. So it's how do I make them feel safe and understood?
Right. As opposed to trying to get them to like you. So how do you do it?
I don't
you
have,
ask questions. You might use labels.
And even if they're wrong, seems like you're pretty convicted in that thought. Well, I'm just throwing out an idea. Okay. It's who said it? Is this a Stephen Covey or John Maxwell thing or something like that? Seek first to understand, or listen to understand, not to respond. I guess there's a whole bunch of guys that have said the same thing. But if you're really listening to understand them, as opposed to respond, which is what I think answering objections is all about. Client says ABC, you say DEF. What's the purpose? What, how do they feel safe?
Make them feel in control.
And if you're telling people, do they feel in control?
no.
So how do you do it?
Use the tools.
Use the tools, ask the questions, and approach with curiosity, right?
And then do the comparisons, the loss comparisons, the focused comparisons.
Right. Right. There's a lot of tactics in this little book. There really are. There's a lot of tactics in here. And I just keep on coming back to get good at doing one or two things. Get good at starting questions with how and why and what if. No, not why. I take that back. The jury will disregard that comment. Yeah, sorry about that. I spaced out for a second. How and what, who, right? What if?
Seems like, feels like,
seems like, feels like.
sounds like.
Sounds like, yeah, all these things. And just, I think what has to happen is you got to slow down, at least for me, I have to slow down my mind a little bit. And instead of, oh, I know where this question is going, I got my answer ready. Yeah, listen for the whole thing.
So is there like a class that I should go try to take where I develop some of these skills more? Is it just try to practice with somebody? Like, where did you get this level of skill from?
On the Black Swan website is a class. There's 2 classes I took, but the first one is Negotiation 9,
Mhm.
and it's the 9 different tools. So the labels, the mirrors, the dynamic silence, the focus comparisons, the calibrated questions, the summaries, the paraphrasing. So it's all in there. And then they have a class that's specifically for real estate agents that also incorporates the tactical empathy and the tools.
Is it like where you just sit and watch a Zoom presentation, or is it like interactive where you practice it, or
It's a Zoom.
a Zoom?
You if you want to get to the, if you want to get in front of them, then it's
That's
like
more money
40,
than I wanna spend.
45. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, their
$4,500.
classes are not cheap. They're,
Yeah, there's no discount, I'm guessing.
No, but
I
the ones I
think
just mentioned are like $99 and $199. Yeah,
this is not working.
So but I guess you did go take those classes then.
I did.
Okay. And it was helpful, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
liked it.
very much.
I think George took it too.
Yeah,
Didn't you take the
very much. I did.
Negotiation 9?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to screen share and now it's all screwed up. It's going to be an
Oh.
interesting recording when it comes out.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. That's. Uh-oh.
Oh, now you're going.
And then I
Is
still
everything-
like when I'm on the elliptical, I still like go to their YouTube channel and just listen to the different tactics and how they explain them. And some of them are like the Regina, and they're like 45 minutes long, and some of them are like 10 minutes long.
Yeah. There's so much on just, you have the website, right, Laura?
Yeah, yes.
BlackSwanLTD.com. So much there. And it's rich. So that one way is that you can get lots more there just listening to the recorded ones. The other thing is just practice this in low risk situation. When I was talking with Beth this morning, she said she was talking because her husband is also a realtor, and he's zoned in like a laser beam on expireds. I think expireds and FSBOs, maybe just expireds. I don't remember which one, but he's like a laser beam on FSBOs and expireds. And she was talking to him about this, and he was a little bit resistant to it. So they were having a conversation because I don't know if that stuff is really going to work. And she said something along the lines of, well, would you have any objection to us going out to dinner tonight? And he went, no. And she looked at him and said, see? And that's how you get good at it. Doing it in low risk, no commission, no money on the line situations. Would it be crazy for us to, go away for the weekend? Would you have any objection to boom? And just see what happens,
I like to use it with my kids because, especially the labels, because it compels thought. So it helps them to think about things at a deeper level than they have been thinking. And so we get to the root of things. So I like to do it that in that setting too.
Would you be comfortable giving an example of that?
Yesterday, my son was embarrassed at school by something
Okay,
that
just frame it
happened.
in. How old are the twins?
They're 11.
11 years old. Okay, so 11-year-old boys, Laura.
Mhm.
Okay.
So he had a conflict at school the day before. We got involved. My wife sent an email. The teacher made a mistake, and on the big screen, she didn't realize what was being projected, and it was the email. So some kids saw the email, which was a little personal. So he was embarrassed, and he got upset with the teacher, and he lashed out at her. And it was he didn't understand really why he lashed out at her other than his embarrassment.
So I went through, it's like, seems like you were really embarrassed. Yeah, I was. And it seemed like that really hurt you. And we went through it, and he got to the point where he understood that he let his emotion get the best of him, and that the teacher didn't do it intentionally. It was a mistake, and that he shouldn't be talking to her like that. So he went back and apologized to her this morning.
Sweet. And he did it with a clear conscience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus, what would the alternative have been that you could have handled that?
You need to go back in and apologize to her. That was wrong.
Oh, and now they're mad at you too.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm mad for the kid though. I'm like, why? She's the one that wronged him.
Right.
She did, but she did it accidentally.
But it was an
Yes.
accident.
It wasn't with intent.
Yeah.
Right. So,
And she owned up to it too.
yeah, good. And the beautiful thing here is that this is the way the brain functions.
Yeah.
Right? When we label the emotion and we get the emotion out, and we can basically say, it sounds like you were really upset. Yeah, I was. He's saying I was upset. Sounds like you were really hurt. Yeah, I was hurt. Every time you label it, the amygdala responds by negating that emotion a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And it gets us to a point of neutral. And when we're neutral, then we can make better decisions. We could take different actions. We can perceive the event differently. And we perceive the event differently, and the emotions are gone, and we can do something about it.
Yeah, my kids learned in first grade how the brain works, and like the amygdala is fight and flight, and the prefrontal cortex is the neutral, or the logic.
Right.
And so we've as parents, we've hung on to that so that they don't forget that, so that we get them out of the amygdala, and they understand because we've hung on to that lesson for them.
Yeah. So when people are upset, instead of doing this, which knocks it from the prefrontal cortex, they should be hitting themselves in the back of the head to move it forward, right? Get it up here. Get it up here.
Right.
I should work that way. What was I thinking? That's New York, Philly. All right.
Yeah, I thought that was Jersey.
Yeah, Tracy. All right. Yeah, this is again, I just have to go back. If anybody challenges me on Chris Voss's stuff here, my bottom line philosophy and thinking behind it is, here's a guy who negotiated for human lives around the world.
Yeah.
All different cultures, all different situations, and then went to Harvard and dominated negotiation courses that are being taught by some of the best top shelf negotiation teachers in the world, based on stuff that was proven in the field.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to that guy.
There's something there.
There's something there, and it's based in science. It's based in physiology and the brain works. So, again, and keep in mind too that I guess anytime that there's something new to learn, the problem or the challenge that adults have is we'll read something like this book and say, I want to get it right away. Conscious incompetence, you know what you don't know. Conscious competence, I got to really think about this. Everything slows down. You might find yourself talking more slowly, putting a little bit more of a pause between when they stop talking and you respond. Conscious competence, you're thinking about, how do I change it from a tie down to a no-oriented question? How do I do it? Instead of saying, well, yeah, it sounds like you want to get the most for your house, don't you? Would it be unreasonable to say you want to get the most? There's going to be a little bit of a hesitation in your brain for the new connections to be made. But once they're made, then you just get into the point of that unconscious competence part, where that skill then becomes automatic, or at least more automatic. So give yourself some time here.
That's why Voss says that the synapses that fire together wire together.
And it's called neurogrowth. oh, I don't remember. I used to know the name of the peptide that did that. I've actually seen electron microscopes view of neurons wiring together, where one is stimulated like this, and you see this neural growth factor that goes across literally and connects with another neuron. It is so cool. It is so cool.
Mhm.
And that's neuroplasticity. Just so your brain can always learn new things. Now, the beautiful thing is the old pattern of tie downs, when it's used less and less and less, those neurons will actually disconnect. The pattern eventually will disappear, which is neat because new neurons are connecting. So yeah, neurons that fire together, wire together. Yep. It's cool. It just takes time and practice and repetition. It is a diminishing skill. So you have a couple little munchkins that you can practice on, which is great.
Yeah.
Nothing like doing it with kids because they're so malleable. You just get in there with their little brains, you know. But just do it in low risk situations, Lauren. Anybody who's listening, do this in low risk situations. Just play with it, see what happens. Yep. All right, 2 minutes left. Words of wisdom.
The other thing, Laura, that I do in terms of the practice is I subscribe to their newsletter. So every Tuesday morning I get an email with an article that's like a 5-minute article to read that just kind of reinforces everything.
Okay. No, I'll go subscribe.
It's good. It's good stuff. There's just spend a little bit of time on blackswanltd.com. There's so much there, you know, and YouTube, just put in Chris Foss. He's all over YouTube. Yeah. You will not run out of material, I promise.
Right.
They put out so much free stuff. I'm surprised they
Prolific.
make any money.
Yeah, it's prolific. He makes money at that $5,000 a seat in the personal trainings.
Yeah.
I am so tempted. Man. I was
It's
really
a goal of mine.
Todd, I was really close when it was in Phoenix. I was really, really close. I went, no, I gotta figure out how to monetize that before I spend $5,000. Yeah. How am I going to get 20 back on my 5? That was my question. I said, I can't think of an answer to that, so I'm not going to go yet. I'll be back. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No.
All right.
I think we're good.
Feed your brains, folks. It's good stuff. It is good stuff.
I just got a notification, a YouTube notification from the Black Swan group that says, Nick Peluso will blow your mind with his no-oriented questions technique. Those come up all the time.
Yeah.
Why
So
am I
better go
not
watch
getting
it.
these?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into this and figure out why I'm not getting them.
Mhm.
I don't have to do it later because this part of my computer is all frozen up again. Oh, well. All right, cool.
Time for a Mac.
Yeah. You'll regret saying that when I call you up and say, Todd, how do I do this?
No, I love to teach that stuff.
All right. Well, you know, it'd be kind of fun because I can get all the information off of this, take this one out to the desert, and there it is. Pew pew. All right, folks. Laura, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Todd, I guess we're on. No, we were on today. Yes, we already spoke
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, we
Right.
both had a costume change since then.
We did. Yeah. And I think we'll just wrap it up. All right. I can't think of
Okay.
anything else to say. Just keep on practicing and we'll have some fun with this. All right.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks again, guys, for your time.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thanks.
Thanks.
My
Bye.
Okay.
pleasure. See you
Bye.
guys.